Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Had a technical moment. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Rain, Ani, Cynthia, Isabella. There are a lot of us, so please do say hi in the chat as you're here so we can just feel all of you. I encourage you to just take a few breaths with me as I kind of shed the momentary hustle of getting my technology working. I'm so grateful to be with all of you this morning for the first ever Her Mystery School Sunday service. Hi, everybody. I see Lindsay, Samar, Brittany, Kara. So we'll just have a couple minutes to let everyone gather before we really begin. And again, just like what I'm doing right now, let's take a moment just coming present here together. Hi, Jasmine. Paloma. You're all just running through the chat room, so I pick up one every now and then. So if you've had a webinar with me before, or we've been in any kind of webinar format, this will be a little different. It's not so much, there'll be a moment or two for some sharing, but this is more really a holding of a service, so we won't be so much in and out of discussion. But what you can use the chat room for more in a way than necessarily, discussing with me different things, just, recognize it as a place where you can connect with one another, even just to, in a moment, just announce that you're here, or to later on when we're in our time of, bearing witness to the good things, going ahead and sharing that in the chat. So there are a lot of you, there's close to 400 of you who've signed up for the service, and I'm not sure how many of you are actually here. Yeah, 150 so far. So there's already so much power and so much validation and nourishment gathered just by our togetherness. Hi, Dina in Dubai. Brian, Kimberly in Australia, yay. All right, so let's take a moment. Welcome, dropping in, just noticing where you are. Welcome. So I'm standing this morning as your priestess. I'll be leaning all my love and all my power behind the strength of your incorruptible flame. May I do so with integrity and grace. To be. Let's begin together in prayer. So wherever you are, if it's safe for you to close your eyes, please do so. And as you close your eyes, let that be your movement to turn and soften toward yourself, right? To open a little bit on the edges, to become a little more receptive, and to rest into the safety and the containment that's here, that we're all holding for each other. Let's pray together. You who are only love, who can and will meet us in whatever form we can most understand. We take refuge in you. You who cannot be named, but who will respond to any name we use to call to you, if we do so with a pure heart. We gather to feel your presence, to drink from your deep well. We are one heart in you. We are one body with the beauty of creation. We turn to you. We receive the fulfillment of your promise that you will enter any darkness to find us, that you will fill our lives with the good if we allow it, that you will teach us to be instruments of your grace, your loving power. Blessed be, blessed be. Welcome, everyone. So we're gathering in her name under her protection, meaning however that is true for you, right? Whatever it is that you turn to, that you know to be true in you, that you've touched, that you have faith in, right? That you feel holding you, the bigger hands, right? So the way that service is going to go is that we're going to bring a teaching out of her mystery school. I'm going to read it from an excerpt and move into a message from that. After that, we're going to have a time of testimonial and witnessing, really gathering our awareness of grace, how it's moving for real. And then we're going to go into closing the service with creating a soul tonic. I want to make sure that all of you are leaving with something very medicinal, very clear for you, very specific to you, to take with you in the week ahead. And then we'll close with prayer together. So to give some context, what I would say is, and this is, what does the deep feminine tradition have specifically to offer to the times that we're in? The context we're working from is understanding that with everything that's happening, kind of on a global level at the moment, we're in a really powerful global descent journey, a soul forging. From a deep feminine perspective, the descent journey, the initiation you didn't want and that you never would have chosen, right? The stripping away, the losing of things that were important, that were precious, right? The entry into a journey through the unknown. That has holy context. It's not just a mistake. It's not just part of the tragedy of life. It has deeply holy context. And we will all move through a descent journeys, in our own lives. Right now we're sharing in one. And what that means is that there is a soul forging happening for all of us, right? That is kind of penetrating and up-leveling, giving amplitude to the golden paths that we've all each been walking, right? So the question is, during these times of soul forging, which have their beauty, but definitely are not all good, right? We're holding all of life, right? When we're in her, we hold all things. In this time, though, what does the deep feminine tradition have to offer? And I think there are two things, at least two things I want to work with today. First of all, in the deep feminine tradition, divinity is something that, yes, we do have faith in. We do sometimes have to stretch and anchor ourselves in just what we know, what we believe, what we trust, right? But in a deep feminine tradition, it is never just that. Divinity, the greater presence, is something that we feel. The body is holy. Being touched, being met, feeling held, feeling penetrated and infused and irrigated with spirit. That is sacred need, and it's also part of how we actually have a living relationship to the divine, to the God of our own understanding. Right? So in a deep feminine tradition, especially when we're moving through a time of soul forging, when we're moving through a time through unknown, when we're being tempered, there are two things to really anchor into that are deeper understandings of the descent journey. One is, yes, it is soul forging, but it can be hard. It's soul forging, it's stripping away, for some of us, very much so at this time. And in that, it becomes very important to turn to what shelters us, what nourishes us, what restores, right? In the mystery school, we refer to that as Dark Mother. Who is it? What presence, what love, what wisdom lives in the dark, in the unknown, who's holding us, right? So that when we're entering the unknown of the descent journey, when we're entering the unknown of ourselves, we're being made to become, to give voice, to embody as something we've never been before, more of what we have always been. When we're in that, we need the dark, right? It is not a place to be feared. In the deep feminine tradition, it's a place of power, and there is a presence inside of the dark and inside of the unknown who is holding us, and we have to choose to turn toward her. So that's very much what the teaching this morning is going to be about. The other piece I want to mention about the descent that we are looking toward is that every descent has inside of it its own resurrection. In the deep feminine tradition, a deep feminine way, we are embracing, we're aware of the full cycle, right? And that's part of what can give us peace. It's part of what brings us wisdom and gives us strength, right? Is that we can anchor into the bigger rhythms, the deeper natural laws, and those are trustworthy. All the circumstances may be out of our control, often out of our control. All the things that are changing, all that's moving through our lives on the surface, still is anchored in natural law. And one of the laws of the descent is that it holds within it its own resurrection. Every fallow time holds inside of it the seeds of its fruition. Every time of fruition has on its horizon its return to the fallow. These are natural cycles. We're in one. Some of you, I know, are in the stripping away right now. Things have intensified. You're facing a lot. Things are being stripped away, right? You're being tempered in that way. So you are in that phase of the descent where, yes, we're tempered, we lose things, we have to surrender, right? And find the strength, find support, find what we need from even beyond ourselves, from even beyond our circumstances, because they get overwhelming. We are made through that process, through the reaching out and through ourselves to more of what we need beyond ourselves, to understand that we are a meeting place, a confluence of greater powers, and we can draw on that. The descent journey forces that. So, all our lives, when it's nice and it's simple and it's wonderful, we get to be in paradise and we get to celebrate and bask in and saturate in the abundance and the blessings. And that's just as valid. But we have to recognize what time we're in when we're in a time. We're in a time of descent, a lot of us. And in a descent time, it's a time to surrender, right? And to surrender into support, to come to know and let life kind of force us, forge us to be a more golden, more diamond-edged soul force in the world. That's what's happening underneath of all of this. But it deserves a lot of support. right? It needs. The underworld journey, the descent journey is not meant to be made in isolation, right? It's meant to be made with a companion or many companions. So it's one side of it. Some of you are not there. You are actually riding the resurrection. I've spoken to some of you. You actually feel a relief at the quietude. All of a sudden, beautiful things are opening in your life, or there's a way that there's ease for some of you. And I know that. And it's interesting because you weren't expecting that. And many of us are going to be actually kind of moving between both things. There is blessing, there is stripping away happening simultaneously. So to know that we are inside of a cycle that has a fullness to it, and to just orient to that. There may be so much disorientation going on right now, and often in a descent journey, that's part of it, is disorienting. Where we can find agency and power is to at least orient to natural law, to at least orient and name. Ah, I see. I'm being asked to surrender here, not to create, not to go big, right? Not to have all the answers. What life is asking me right now is that I surrender and that I acknowledge that I don't know. And in that, what opens? You open to what you do know. You open to the intimacy of being a daughter of creation, of needing her. Please show me. I don't know, right? So there is a lot in this time that is potent, that has your best interest at heart, actually. What it is, the art of turning towards that and understanding how to move with that current that is moving at the same time that other currents are moving that are difficult, right? Is deep feminine way, right? Is to not have to go to one or the other. To not have to say, this is so terrible, or, oh, don't worry about it, we're just transitioning to 5D reality. Like, you don't get to go to either one necessarily. In a deep feminine approach and an embrace, we say, yeah, guess what? Both. Because we are all things, and she is all things, right? And we look to find the golden path through it. That's where the mercy is. That's where truth is. That's where your truth is. Your direct connection as you walk in your life with your families, your circumstances, all your particular truths. How are you going to walk that home? That's the question. That's what we're strengthening here together. This is a heroine's journey. We're on it, right? Okay, so let's do a little reading from Dark Mother. By the way, I so love you all so very much. So Dark Mother, what the invocation of Dark Mother is an invocation of what is going to hold you through these times, through any times, right? So let's read a little bit and then we'll go into some message from that. You can close your eyes during this if you want to, because this is, what I want to say is that what happens in life a lot is there's a pull towards the external, to seeing, to knowing, to doing. Understandable. To enter into the other realm of your being, the receptive, where you can actually receive the nourishment, the guidance, the clarity, the strength that you need. Okay, you have to choose to become receptive. And that's not always easy. Sometimes it is much harder done than said. But when you listen, you enter receptivity, right? When you close your eyes, you open your ears and you soften your body, you enter receptivity. So I invite you into that as I read from the school, to nourish yourself and to take refuge for a moment in truth, right? We're looking for how we can feel her presence, how we can feel that we're held, feel the strength, not just hope and believe that it's there, right? Okay. Dark Mother. Dark Mother is all about nourishment, rest, restoration, renewal, and embrace. It's about bringing ourselves to a sheltered place inside of all that is unknown and inside of the contentment of the moment. In her, we choose to slow time, to cultivate peace, integration, and nourishing rest in the substance of timeless wisdom. This sheltering substance of the Dark Mother is that which allows the necessary regenerative processes of incubation, insulation, hibernation, and germination. So, okay, just making sure. I hope that technologically this is working for you all. What I want to highlight from this bit is that there is a substance, right? You know it, you've felt it. And where you have a lot of power, no matter what is happening in circumstance, is in your turning toward it. How you turn toward that substance, how you become a place where that grace can enter, can fill, and can irrigate is by slowing time, right? By choosing to enter incubation and hibernation, even in a moment, even just as you go to sleep at night, and to recognize these places as places of power. Right? There is a way that right now, say, with all of there are all these, feels like enforced retreat, right? For many of us, stay home, stay close, stay contained. Well, when something happens that's out of your control, one of the most powerful things you can do is then to say, okay, I go ahead and I choose this. I choose the natural law and the power that's underneath of this movement. So, where's the power for you? It's in choosing to come home here, to saturate, to slow down time, and to enter the substance of the moment so that you can be informed, right? So that you can be close to the divinity, if you want, that's in life, close to yourself, right? And that restorative power is not found in doing, right? It's not found in understanding. It can be the reservoir from which we know what to do. We have the energy to do, and we come to an understanding. But Dark Mother says, all right, come to me, daughter. Let me hold you. Drink deep from my heart. Right? Let me cocoon you. Let me embrace you. Slow time and be with me. Right? And let it be a luxury in its own way. We find Dark Mother in depth, in silence, in the dark. In her, we befriend the dark as a place of deep feminine power and renewal, a comfort, not a threat, a spacious, intimate embrace, not a void. So I know how much unknown we're all in, right? So much unknown. We always have lived inside of the unknown, to greater and lesser of our awareness at any moment, right? And to understand that you can befriend the dark, i.e., that place where you don't know, I can't see, it's dark, I don't know, I can't see, I can't figure it out, it's too much, right? To befriend that is to understand that it's guiding you towards intimacy with your deeper resource, intimacy with what you really are, right? Both intimacy with the things that are moving in you, like fear, like inspiration, confusion, longing, whatever's moving in you, intimacy with that, intimacy beyond that, to your true nature, that which is holding all of you, and which is actually the aspect of you that is free of circumstance, right? That will not be corrupted, that cannot be lost, no matter what else is taken, no matter what else is lost. That's part of the soul forging capacity of a descent journey, in showing you all the things that can be lost. It brings you naked and raw, close to the things that can never be lost. And on the other side of a descent journey, your foundation is in that bedrock, because you've done the work and you made the journey. And the kind of strength, the kind of instrument that you become in the world, kind of peace and inner resource that you carve out through that journey, can only be gotten through that journey. And those of you who've gone through an intense descent journey already, you know what I'm talking about, right? So this is where we're going. This is one of the natural laws that we can align ourselves with through these times, through all times. And where some of your greatest agency is not to change what else happening on this surface, not to figure out what's true and what's not to figure out the best perfect strategy that's going to make everything okay, right? It's to choose what you're going to align with. Your alliance as a warrioress, your alliance as the heroine of this soul's journey that you're on. That's what matters. That's what's true. So every moment, choose your alliance. And that doesn't mean some weird blanket statement like, oh, just choose love over fear, it'll be fine. It means if you're afraid, choose love around that fear, right? What does it mean to you to choose who you serve, what you will be an instrument of, and to let these times be your time to forge that in your soul, to actually choose that, and to trust that there are enormous forces of grace supporting you in that, because you're aligning with the underlying movement of what's happening, right? And when you align with natural law, the generosity that comes back towards you is always at least 1,000-fold of what you turn toward it with, right? That's how natural law works. That's how she works. It's the generosity of creation. We'll have a little, let's read just a little bit more. In a deep feminine approach to stillness meditation, i.e. to calming, to gathering of power, to transformation, to life, we keep our root always in the fecund dark, the underneath, the hidden, miraculous, regenerative potential of her mystery. But we don't work hard to get there. We release ourselves into her and let her absorb us. It's important to recognize that the way into this kind of grace in the midst of all things is not through effort. It's through a surrendering into whatever it is that we trust, a surrendering into and a turning toward, a release into. We root ourselves in her and we take surrender as our first action. We look towards what is effortless, what is nourishing first. So that when we seek to quiet our busy minds, to bring grace to our complicated circumstances, to calm our emotional turbulence, to dispel all the illusory urgency and the anxiety that it creates. When we seek to do all these things, we do not just habitually wrestle with it all, turning our power in resistance, struggling to change or shift the tide or the current. We instead surrender into the deeper substance of what is. We take refuge there. We seek wisdom there and then act. If action is even then still necessary. In the spacious, generous, all-embracing substance of the deep feminine, many of our troubles, our questions, our tangled inner workings simply resolve themselves or reveal that they are not what we thought. They have much less power than we assigned to them in our haste, our urgency, and our depletion. This is not laziness, avoidance, or unwillingness to grow. This is growth according to natural law. Life, creativity, and right action arising from empty presence, the substance of nourishing good. Look toward your state of being before you engage the power of your doing, your thinking, and your choosing. So those are words from the month of Dark Mother in her mystery school. And what they're pointing us towards is that we are not alone. And that especially in times of the unknown, in times of darkness, i.e. we can't see and we can't know, that these are times of potency. That doesn't mean they're necessarily times of ease. It does mean that there's nourishment to be found, that there's wisdom to be found, that there's resource inside of it, right? And I would say that for a lot of us right now, that's what this time is. The call of Dark Mother, the call to really irrigate your being with the substance of life, with, just being present in your moment, with wrapping yourself in silence and letting silence be a substance that you drink in, right? Rather than just a place where you let all your thoughts bounce around and get a little louder, right? Turning towards the substance of life is part of what roots us into the present moment and will help us take this time, moment by moment by moment, to be able to endure what is going to be a period of time of life revealing itself day by day, right? Life revealing itself, our inner resources rising to the surface to meet that, right? That is what we can be walking right now. It's what we're going to walk one way or the other. What I want to do is to lean a lot of support behind that for you, to name that so that you're oriented to it. So that in all of the many things that you're navigating, and all of the many potential anxieties, and all of the many ways that, yes, you do have to show up, you do have to pay attention, you do have to be present and engaged with your world, that in all of that, somewhere deep inside of you, you're staying anchored to what's really going on here. What creation, what she is really bringing for you, right? Which has inside of it always the golden path of a resurrection into something that you may not have chosen, that you will almost always find is actually what you always deeply wanted. That's a lot of how the descent works. It strips away things that are precious to us, things that we value, securities that we counted on. And there is a loss there. There is a surrender. There's a grieving. It's an important aspect to be present to, and to treat with honor and respect. And what is given on the other side of that are the gifts that cannot be taken, and those things which we always really needed, which we always longed for, longed to know, longed to experience inside of ourselves, right? Okay. I would ask for questions or feedback normally, but there are so many of you, I don't think that's reasonable. I hope this is clear. I hope this is resonating and pointing you towards something inside of yourself that feels true, right? Reorienting you, anchoring you again to the knowing, something that's very alive inside of you right now, that's living with you. India is asking how many of you. There's almost 200 of you, which is amazing. You're beautiful. I want to put this into practice, right? It's wonderful to have the wisdom. It's wonderful to have the transmission and what comes alive in us in the face of that. And that has life to it, right? That has important power to it. But let's bring it down into even more graspable, more graspable reality. So let's start with witnessing. So in my tradition, what we say is when we find her, we proclaim her, right? And there's something about the proclamation. There's something about the bringing forward and the witnessing of where you feel her, where you feel grace, where you feel the soul forging, that amplifies it actually. So I would love to take a few minutes. I won't be able to respond to all of them, but please, just for all of us, in the chat, share. If you, not just what you're grateful for. We're not going for empty gratitudes. We love those. Sometimes rattling off a whole bunch of empty gratitudes until we can actually feel that it's just the right thing. But I want you to take a minute and feel, where have you felt actually touched by the substance of something? Something that you could feel your body relax into. You could feel yourself being infused, being upheld. If you just scan for a moment over the past week, couple weeks, where could you give witness? Where could you proclaim that, yes, here she is, nature, in her art practice, time with her horse, in the warming of the frozen earth, spending time down by the water. It's going to be a lot with nature, because because natural law is what we're dealing with when we're in the deep feminine. All of the cycles of things that are most trustworthy, that have been with us from the beginning, that give life and sustain life. Human touch, the sound of rain falling at night, witnessing all the light workers stepping up, bath, at the bottom of tears, just surrendering there. Yeah. Tending to her home, cooking, right? So a lot of where Dark Mother also lives, because she is the embodiment of nourishment, she's the source of nourishment, is in all of these holy things that are so mundane, right? And a lot of us, that's where we're at. Okay, we're at home. Why don't we clean the house? Why don't we cook better food? Well, we have to, because we can't go out and eat, right? Why don't we rest? Why don't we take our beds and actually put a little lavender oil on the pillow because we've got a little extra time, and rest deeply? There is a sanctifying of the mundane that happens in Dark Mother, right? A sanctifying of the holiness of these beautiful, precious lives. And clearly that is one of the golden threads that's running through this whole global experience, right? Is that life is precious. And that sometimes the proximity of death, the proximity of losing it all is what actually sloughs off all of the density and all of the forgetfulness to help us remember what this is, this life, right? This baking of apples, this sweeping of our floor, this hugging of our children, this just taking in nature and emptying and being willing to just be nobody, nothing, nowhere to go, nothing to do, just to open and receive. Ryan says the love we're all sharing with each other, yeah. Speaking up when something doesn't feel good for me, connecting deeper with her teachers, so many things, right? So there's a way that Natalie says she's one of those people who's so glad this is happening. There's, right, we're all over the map. And it's our way of being with each other, our togetherness, our turning towards the one heart that we are and the one body with creation that we are, that is going to hold all of us, right? Seeing her mother, Lisa, seeing her mother and daughters through new eyes, through their humanness. The swans on the River Thames, yeah, are making their nest again. So there is so much. And what's important as we bring forward these things, and what I would really encourage you to do, because we're talking about staying close to the substance of nourishment, this deep feminine tradition. We don't want to just name it and forget it and be glad that it happened, or have that moment with it and then it washes away and we're stressed out again. We want to take it in, right? You are an embodied vessel. You are an instrument of grace. You need to fill your cup with the good. That is part of what Dark Mother invites. She says, become still, empty. You've got nothing. You've got no real answers. You don't really know what's going to happen, right? You're in the unknown. Well, then take my liberation in that. Empty your cup and let me fill you with the good, what's truly good. That's a holy covenant. And that's for us to choose to do, to recognize that we are a vessel for whatever we choose. And that if we're willing to empty and open to her, open to grace, open to love, we will be filled with the good. And as a cup overflowing, then we are full, we are far safer, we are abundant, and we are in the fulfillment of a covenant that is beyond circumstance. So as you enter Dark Mother, looking for the substance of the good, fill your cup with it, right? Yeah. Thank you all for sharing. So glad that you're all with me. We're all together. So continue, as you move forward this week, when we find her, we proclaim her. When we find her, we proclaim her. And just sometimes, often bringing it through your voice and saying it out loud, saying, oh, thank you. Letting an actual smile lift up your face. Let creation know when it delights you. Let her know. Let the shepherding presence know when you have really received the gift, whatever gift is happening inside of whatever else is going on in your life. So let's make our tonic. We have just a little bit more time together in our service. So here's what we're going to do is to make a tonic together where I want you to think about what it is that you most need. What would you most like to feel? So don't make this dependent on your circumstances. Like, for instance, I want to feel safe. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel secure. I want to feel held. I want to feel intact, right? So I want to feel what? Just think about that for a minute. What would it, if you were to take a tonic, be able to go to a shelf full of like tonics from the mother, and she's just, and be able to take that tonic, what would it be? So let yourself come to, it's important that it be very specific to you, and that you might get inspired by one of the, something that's being shared in the chat. So feel what that is and just come in, and I want you to say with me, we're going to do this alchemical practice that I teach in the school. Okay, so say it out loud. I want to feel, or I choose to feel. Make it a choice. We're going to anchor agency here, coming into will force, coming into what you choose for yourself, not what this is. This is not the movement of I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just there's so much going on. I don't know what I can do or what I. Nope. This is I choose. In my feet, in my anchor, in my root, my will force, I align it with this. So I choose. I choose to feel. We're working with a feeling state. I choose to feel intact, whatever it is. So make your choice. Close your eyes if you need to. I want you to claim your choice. If you can, make it one word, like I choose to feel intact. I choose to feel wise. Something that, see if you can make it as simple as possible. I choose. I choose to feel and feel yourself. Just align your will force behind that. Take your right. Choose. Claim your right to choose and to guide your life. I choose to feel. And now, what I want you to do is imagine. So I'll maybe explain it later. This is an alchemical process. So I want you to imagine. So if it's I choose to feel intact, I would imagine, what am I doing? What's happening in the fulfillment of that? If you choose to feel free or you choose to feel loved, what does that look like? I want you to lend your imagination fully to that. Just for a couple of moments here, imagine what's happening. You feel free. What's happening? You feel held. What's happening? Just lean in. Let your imagination bring it fully to life for you. Who's with you or not? Where are you? What's happening? Give it, imagine the whole circumstance, the whole outpicturing. Okay? So you choose, you imagine. Now I want you to feel. Feel. When you imagine yourself in that situation, in the fulfillment of your choice, how does it feel in your body? So not, I feel happy, I feel calm, I feel not an emotional state. How does it feel? Does your heart feel soft and warm? Does your mind feel relaxed? Is there heat moving through your body? Do your legs feel strong, right? Is there heat in your pelvic bowl? Tune in to what your body feels like in the fruition of your choice. Okay? Yeah, like Marilla's saying, her entire body feels strong, solidity and strength, right? So you've made a choice, you've aligned your will force, you've aligned your imagination capacity, your creative capacity. Now you've come into the feeling, and now you've engaged your felt sense. Like that And this is where we start to really gather the tonic. Now, from your felt sense, I want you to see if you can let a symbol or an image arise that captures your felt sense. So if the feeling is like, I just feel strong in my body, I feel a core of strength all the way through my body, maybe the image that comes to that is just a staff, just sunk into the ground, you know, solid, vertical, right? If it's your heart feels warm and relaxed, maybe the image is a cup full of honey. I don't know. See if you can. So you're moving from the feeling in your body, not the story, but the feeling. So whatever you found in your body, how would that symbolize for you? How would you capture that with a symbol or an image? Stone, mountain, a willow tree with strong roots and flowing hair. A bubble of light, flowers and fruit, beautiful. A gold bracelet on each side of my wrists, beautiful. So now, a skylark, beautiful. You guys are so good at this. So what we've just done has a lot. I'm not going to get into it. It's a very simple process. It's an alchemical process. It has a lot of wisdom. It has a neurobiology behind it. It has a lot of things behind it, right? So let's go through it one more time quickly together. The same choice. I just want to take you through it one more time so you can feel it. This is your tonic, right? And I will teach you. I'll share with you how to use it after we do it. Yeah, nice. Kate's saying a hand holding the side of her face, eyes looking at her in the eyes, and the feeling of you've got this, but without the words. Yeah, real leaning in. So let's do it real quick together. We're going to streamline it. So choose. I choose to feel. Stay with the choice that you've made. We're going to just move it through. I choose to feel. Make your choice. All right. Imagine that, the fruition of that. What's happening? Let it delight you. Let it fully flesh out. Now come into the feeling. What lives in your body when you're in the fruition of your choice? What do you feel? Breathing, taking it in, letting it irrigate you. And then letting a symbol of wealth from that feeling. You already probably found your symbol. Letting that symbol fill your inner vision. Right? And then we're taking it as a tonic. So after you've gone through all 4 of these steps, take a moment and just drink it in. Literally irrigate your being with this. What this is medicine created for you, by you. It's powerful. This is your tonic, right? And it is made for you because it emerged from you. And it is made for your specific needs and your specific circumstances. This is your tonic. Why we're doing this together as we close our service is so that you can take this with you the week ahead. Simple. You can actually do that process in about 2 minutes, right? It doesn't take much. I choose, I imagine, I feel, I symbolize. And what you've just done is you've activated your entire brain, your entire consciousness, on all sorts of levels, subconsciously, imaginally. You've activated your felt sense, and you're basically feeding yourself what you need in the moment, right? You're choosing it, and then you're giving it to yourself now rather than waiting for it to come in the future. So take your tonic. This is your tonic. It's your medicine for the week. It will help you come back again and again to your choice point, your will force, and then to irrigate and to absorb and to fill your cup with the good. Remember, fill your cup with the good. You are a cup. You're a vessel. You do get to choose what you fill your cup with. And you do get to drink from forces that are greater than you, beauties that are expansive, things that touch you, that feel like they're more than what you even have to give. You get to drink and fill from that well. All right. Blessed be. So we're going, we're going to have Sunday service for the next 4 weeks and continue in this way. Let's close with a prayer before we all go our ways, shall we? Okay. Closing your eyes for one moment, noticing what prayer is in your own heart. It might be just a prayer of gratitude. Perhaps you're even more clear of what your sacred need is today. Perhaps it's a prayer of actually gratitude for this journey that is in front of you. Beloved shepherdess, torchbearer at the crossroads, help us to feel your hand at our back. Help us to look for your flame at the choice points of our lives. Help us to befriend the darkness, to ally ourselves with power, with nourishment, to fill our cups with the good until they overflow. To be rebellious and stubborn enough to do that regardless of circumstance. We are your daughters. We call upon the covenant, the promise of your protection, of your reciprocity, of your love, of your comfort during times that are forging us. Beloved shepherdess, friend, we turn to you in gratitude. We ask you to fill our cups with the good. Teach us to be instruments, to teach us to be refuge, to teach us to be the wise ones, to hold the ones we love, to hold the world we love. Create for the good. Blessed be. Thank you all so much for being with me this morning. I am so grateful to be with you, to feel you out there. I'd love to see you next Sunday. Until then, I send my prayer into doves of peace, into doves of strength. I ask that they find their way. They fly from here, from this place, and they find their way to your path. Places unknown and unexpected, that they'll find you, that these words, that the tonic you created that your own soul, your own wisdom will meet you, that these doves of peace and remembrance will call you home, will bring comfort, will remind you of your strength. Blessed be. So much love.